I hope all of you are having a great day so far. Now I want you to know that President Biden believes that stimulus checks are making a big difference in helping out Americans. Lawmakers and economists have made it clear that millions of Americans could slip into poverty if another round of stimulus payments are not sent out soon. And that is why an online petition calling for Congress to deliver monthly stimulus checks of $2,000 until the end of the crisis has now surpassed 2 million signatures. Everybody, do you support this fourth round of stimulus payments? Let me know in the comments. Now guys, a petition on change.org was recently created, and it is addressed to the US House of Representatives and the Senate. It does ask our politicians to pass a bill that allocates monthly recurring $2,000 payments for adults and $1,000 payments for dependents until the duration of the crisis is over. The petition states we need immediate checks and recurring payments so that we can keep our heads above water. Congress needs to make sure that we won't be financially ruined for doing our part to keep the country healthy. Everybody, do you support the fourth round of stimulus checks? If you do, then let's get this video to 1,000 likes. I personally strongly support recurring monthly payments. The crisis is far from over. Millions of Americans are making much less from their jobs compared to before the crisis began. A recent jobs report shows that nearly a quarter of all unemployed workers in the US have been out of work for at least a year, a stretch of joblessness dating to the early days of the crisis. It is really terrible, everybody. Another round of stimulus checks must be passed to help the American people. And the petition has been updated regularly since it was started about a year ago when the former president was in office. Now the petition also states that another single check won't solve our problems. People are just far too behind. Like we've been saying from the beginning of the crisis, people need to know when the next check is coming, and the best thing our government can do right now is send out emergency money to the people on a monthly basis. Supplying Americans with monthly support until they can get back on their feet can save our communities from financial ruin. As we can see, everybody, millions of Americans do support recurring monthly stimulus payments, and all Joe Biden has to do is include this provision in his new infrastructure plan. Not only that, but he has to increase the Social Security benefits by $200 a month. Joe Biden must keep his promise and help out our seniors. And if you guys agree that President Biden must include a Social Security increase in his next infrastructure bill, then leave a comment down below saying I agree. Now there are some politicians in Congress that disagree with passing more stimulus relief. One congresswoman has said that stimulus checks are incentivizing people not to go to work. But Congress has now passed several rounds of stimulus payments, which combined equal to $3,200 maximum per person, intended to offset layoffs and furloughs. The checks have gone to about 161 million people in the US, according to the IRS. Sadly, with no bank accounts, little access to the internet, and a general lack of awareness that money is available, many homeless people have not even received their first, second, and third stimulus check. Now, activists for homeless people say this money could be potentially transformative for people who would like the savings to put down first and last months on rent and lease, or even mounting medical bills. I just hope our politicians, everybody, step up to the plate and help out the American people like you and I. A stimulus bill must be sent out again.
And joining us now, Cecilia Rouse, chair of the President's Council of Economic Advisors. Ms. Rouse, let's start by putting President Biden's plans in historical context. Adjusting for inflation, the programs passed during the New Deal cost $856 billion. Recovery from the Great Recession in 2009 cost $1.8 trillion. But in just over 100 days, President Biden has proposed more than $6 trillion in new spending. Ms. Rouse, you really want to spend more than 6 times what the nation spent to get us out of the Great Depression in the 1930s?
Well, thank you, Chris. Let's be clear. The first part of what President Biden was spending is the American Rescue Plan. We're in an economic recession caused by a pandemic, and that was critical support which went to families and businesses to help them get to the other side of the pandemic. And even more important, it provided the funding for an effective and comprehensive vaccination rollout. It's because of those shots in the arms, it's because of the support that families and businesses have had that we've started to see our economy come back. Last week's numbers suggest our growth in the first quarter increased by about 6%. We see that unemployment insurance claims are coming down. So the first tranche of that was to get us to the other side of the pandemic. The other two parts are about investing in our future. To put the spending in context is in the last 40 years, we've been disinvesting from our economy. And so what these plans do is we put money into the foundations of growth, Those are infrastructure, research and development and innovation, education, because we know human capital is so important, and yes, the support that families need in order to be able to go to work, because allowing workers to go to work, increasing our labor supply, is also critically important.
As our other new co-sponsors, I want to thank Mark Kelly also. Having served and been a commander, he understands what's at stake and why this reform will make the military the strongest in the world when it comes to prosecuting these cases. And I want to thank our other stalwarts who have been here from the beginning. I want to recognize Ted Cruz. I want to recognize Rand Paul. I want to recognize Senator Dick Blumenthal and Mazie Hirono and the countless other senators who have been in the trenches on this issue from the beginning. This new coalition will make the difference of passing this legislation. I am certain of it. We also have the 2 women combat veterans in the Senate on this bill. Having Joni also with Tammy Duckworth, again, shows the strength and collaboration of all who are behind this reform. So let me just tell you a little details about the bill. Sexual assault in the military is an epidemic. It has been for a very long time. The military has been keeping track of the numbers in very considerable detail since 2010. The most recent report from the Department of Defense found that almost 20,000, or estimated that almost 21,000 service members were sexually assaulted in 2018. That number tells us that it makes them more likely to be sexually assaulted by a fellow service member than be shot by the enemy at war. This same report also revealed a record low rate of conviction. It's clear that this system is not working. We cannot have good order and discipline when crimes like these are occurring within our ranks and when the culture on base is one not of justice, but of retaliation. I have heard from so many survivors like Amy, who bravely came forward in search of justice, only to have their cases outright declined and then face more harassment and retaliation because she came forward. The most recent Pentagon survey found that 2 in 3 survivors reported retaliation because they reported a crime against themselves. It's simply unacceptable. We owe it to our service members to do more to prevent these crimes and to properly prosecute them when they occur. Now is the time for our legislation, the military justice improvement and increasing.
And if you guys agree with me, then let's get this video to 1,000 likes.